Mafalda will be proud. The new moon is tonight and there's rain coming this afternoon, and so it was time to go back into the bamboo grove and cut another giant bamboo. So I ended up cutting, this is just the lower section, and it may be a curve, but this is going to be table legs. So I have to work out, the table is going into this area, and I have to work out how big the table is going to be. And obviously it's going to have 4 legs, and I'm going to position where the table will go, and then I'll create the height, and then I'm going to cut poles for the table legs out of this tree bamboo. It is a pretty substantial bamboo. I mean, just look at the thickness of the timber. So being a full moon, that means the sap, being a new moon, that means the sap content is at its lowest. And you cut bamboo in the morning also when the sap is at its lowest. So the whole idea of bamboo timber farming is knowing when to cut your timber. And then I will dry this timber, and eventually it will mirror a smaller version of this incredible post. Bamboo is such an incredible renewable. When you plant a pine tree, it takes between 5 to 7 years for the tree to reach any decent height, and it really takes about the better part of 12 to 15 years before a pine tree is really viable to be harvested, especially into pine poles like this. And then when you cut it, that's it, you're done. You're going to start the whole process over again. But when you plant bamboo, after approximately year 4, year 5, you can begin harvesting out your very thin culms. The culm I just harvested is a 3-year-old culm. And so we take out the first and second year, use those for just very thin poles, but then basically in year 4, we start to harvest for what we can build with. Timber construction. We can replace a lot of pine with bamboo, and that bamboo will continue to give new shoots year after year after year indefinitely. You don't have to replant it like you have to replant a pine forest. Also, the amount of water that the bamboo sucks out of the ground, stores in the roots, stores in the culms, creates a much more even environment. And then when the dry season comes, it'll put some of that water back into the vegetation and help to regulate the soil. So it'll suck a lot of water out in the rainy season, put good water back in during the dry season. But the amount of CO2 that the roots will store, the carbon sequestration, is again tremendous. We really got to think about how we're going to use the fastest growing grass. Yes, it is a grass. How will we use the fastest growing grass to replace certain parts of the construction industry? This is not rocket science. There is great science out there on how to make this work. So Mafalda, thanks for helping me get started and turning me into an addict of utilizing bamboo in construction. And eventually I will face this with a nice piece of bamboo just around it, because there's too much work to replace. But had I known what I know today, I would not have put this beam in. I would have used timber bamboo or guadua to put in place of the beam.